As you can see, this is the NFC recap of the 2017 regular season because of the title. You might be wondering to yourself, are there going to be predictions? No, not in this video. In a different video, there will be a link to at the end of this video. So stay tuned so you can get to that. Yeah, it's probably in like recommended in like the side, or it's probably somewhere. You'll find it. It shouldn't be hard. So we're gonna go north, south, east, west. Go through teams, talk about how they did this year, and all that good stuff. Get out some awards, make everyone feel good. Well, not everyone. Giants are probably gonna feel bad, but shouldn't have sucked. But yeah, let's get into it. Starting out with, of course, the NFC North. The Vikings win 13-3. They had one loss in the division. That was to the Lions. And one loss at home to the Lions. They were undefeated against losing teams, which is pretty good, which means you didn't lose to any sucky teams because of random dumb crap that just happened to happen. Happened to happen, huh? That's funny. Case Keenum, Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs, Dalvin Cook before he got injured. Their whole defense, pretty much the whole team, just kind of balled out. Sam Bradford didn't do too bad in the one game he played until he got hurt. Think about this. Teddy Bridgewater did pretty well when he was playing. Except for the one game he played this year when he threw a pick on his first pass. That was kind of bad. But, Case Keenum done really well this season. Sam Bradford done really well, in the past couple seasons or so. It wasn't really that bad to begin with, but that's some good trade stuff, or if you want to keep one of them or all of them, you got some backups if anything happens. Just want to trade them around or something. I don't know. That's just kind of crazy. So yeah, they're pretty good. Probably gonna go far. Lions 9-7. Only loss in the division was to the Vikings. Only win to winning teams was to the Vikings, which is probably why they're not in the playoffs. Because the only teams they could beat were the crappy ones. And most of the teams they played were in the NFC. And they're all really good. The NFC is really good. Much better than the AFC. The AFC is kind of trash. Stafford was not worth the paycheck. Yes, he may have had a lot of yards this year. But that's not the point. That's how you win the games. Who you win the games wins. And how do you play against the good teams? And I don't think he did that. Packers went 7-9. And the Packers, well, they had a fun season. The only division wins were against the Bears. So, that's not a great only win in that division when it's the worst one. Obviously, besides yourself. They were undefeated against losing teams, even without Aaron Rodgers when he got hurt back in week 6, which is good. But sadly, they didn't do as well against, the other teams, which is why they didn't make the playoffs. Real bummer, I know. That's well, they didn't even get, 500. That's kind of a bummer. So the Bears, the Bears went 5-11, 0 wins in the division, nada, and their only wins were against teams in the AFC North. All 4 of them, even the Steelers. Jordan Howard just was like, I'm taking over, man. And the Panthers, which I don't know how they beat them too. Panthers are in the playoffs right now. So if they have the potential to lose to the Bears, I don't know. I mean, that's not very good. Yeah. So they kind of suck. They're, like as I said, the only good player is Jordan Howard. I mean, without him, they would be complete and utter garbage on a pile of garbage. Yeah. Even with him, he still couldn't bring him back from the pit of garbage that they were. So that's kind of a bummer. The NFC South. The Saints 11-5. Their only home loss was to the Patriots. It's pretty darn good because they're in the NFC. So they probably played a lot of good teams at home. And they're like, oh no. We ain't losing to you bums. We good, baby. We good. Their only loss to a losing team, a team with a losing record, was the Buccaneers. And that was week 17, last week of the season. This past week, actually. So I don't know what the heck they were doing then. Probably just like, hey, we got it, we good, we're in the playoffs, yeah. So they decided to not play well. Really what helped them is their rookies, two to be exact, Marshawn Lattimore and Alvin Kamara. Now, Alvin Kamara, he was a beast, let me tell you. He was probably the reason why they won most of their games, because he was a threat running the ball and receiving the ball. That's not bad. And, you know, the one game they did lose him for was against the Falcons, a good team, and they lost, which is a bummer. So, I mean, just saying, that's pretty good. They had two running backs with 1,000-plus yards from scrimmage, him and Mark Ingram. Mark Ingram was actually the starting running back. He took most of the carries and got a lot of the rushing yards. But Kamara had a little bit of both. So they were a pretty beast team. The Panthers also 11-5. And their one loss to a losing team was the Bears, as I said. And they're low-key not that great. I mean, you lose to the Bears, and there's a lot of teams that they played that weren't very good, that they had close games with, that they shouldn't have been close if they're supposed to be a good playoff team. So I don't know, but do you, man. Then there was the Falcons, 10-6. This is by far the best division, by the way, because they have three teams all in the playoffs, all with at least 10 wins. That's pretty good. I mean, I don't know. Their only loss to a losing team was the Dolphins. Dolphins who also beat the Patriots. And the Falcons, who were in the Super Bowl last year. But they couldn't beat other teams that were bad, and they ended up with a crap record. But hey, as I said, do you, man. Do you. The thing is, they're probably going to choke in the playoffs. While they did it later in the Super Bowl instead of earlier, it's a lot better this year, and they're not as good comparatively to everyone else. So I wouldn't expect them to go to the Super Bowl. Julio Jones did pretty well. He balled. He was up there in yards and stuff for leading the league and things. So that's pretty cool. But the Buccaneers were 5-11. That's the fourth place in this division. They won one game in the division to the Saints week 17. They had one win against winning teams, once again, the Saints. That's kind of bad. That kind of sucks. Jameis getting hurt, I don't really know if it changed anything, because they weren't really good with him. I mean, they got better as the season progressed, which most teams do. So there's that. But still, they're not really an exciting part of the world, I guess. We move on to the NFC East with the Eagles leading the division at 13-3. They had one division loss to the Cowboys, one home loss to the Cowboys. This loss coming week 17. One non-conference loss to the Chiefs, who are a pretty good team. 0 losses to a losing team, undefeated there. That's pretty good. That's what you want. And the problem here is they lost Carson Wentz in week 14. Now, they won 2 games after that, and that game, without him, but they did not win their final game. And it really showed that Nick Foles just wasn't up to the task of leading them to Super Bowl, wasn't good at managing the game as Carson Wentz was, and they're kind of like the worst team in the playoffs for the NFC. And they're the number 1 seed. So, that's how good the NFC is. Alright. I mean, they're not bad without Wentz. They're still a good team. They're just not as good as the bar that is set by the NFC teams. If you catch my drift. The Cowboys, 9-7. They had one division loss to the Eagles. They had no Zeke from weeks 10 to 15, which they win around 500 in. So that's not too bad. But they're also the NFC's most overhyped team in the NFC. So that is because last year they went 14-2 with Zeke and Dak Prescott. And then they had no Zeke, and everyone realized they're actually trash because Dak Prescott's not good. And if Dak doesn't throw it to Dez, who's pretty good, they're going to do even worse. But if Dez doesn't play well and Dak does throw it to him, then it's not good, and there's this whole bunch of issues that happen that were just kind of bad. But, yeah. Everyone's like, oh, they're going to do it again. They're going to be even better. They get second year, and then they just kind of, Zeke was stupid. If he'd taken early in the season, they could have made a run at the end of the season, and it was just bad. Redskins went 7-9. They had one division win against the Giants. That's not good. They had one loss to a losing team, though, the Giants. So that's pretty good. And Kirk is a G, and probably would help them lose a lot of these games, though, is they lost Chris Thompson week 11 versus the Saints. He was Kirk's number one target, and he had close to like 100 receiving yards in every game as a running back, and then add on maybe 30-40 yards rushing, so that's pretty cool. And then suddenly to not be able to have that guy and to try to find someone else, while the rest of the running backs were all not doing great as well. Just not a good recipe for success. And then the line, he was like, he had the most sack yards as a quarterback. That's bad. Because he was always trying to escape, and then it just didn't work, and he got sacked, and there was a bunch of times getting sacked, and it was just... Kirk needs to find a new home. That's all there is to it. Giants 3-13. They had one division, one conference, and one home win, all of which were against the Redskins. They had one win against a winning team. That was the Chiefs during their time to fail. Come on. That was such a stupid... I was like, oh, there's no way. The Chiefs are going to lose to the Giants. They suck. And then they did. And I'm like, stupid. Dumb stuff. But they are the NFC's will blame the coach. Instead of some teams who blame their coach after the season, or at least could handle him for the rest of the season, they couldn't wait that long because he literally benched their starting quarterback for Geno Smith. Ben McAdoo, if you ever are hired anywhere in the NFL again, please tell me how, because you should not be, because you are an idiot. That's it for that. Moving on to the NFC West, Rams 11-5, one away loss to the Vikings, who are like the best team in the NFC. We're second best record wise, but they're better than Eagles now without Carson Wentz. That's not a bad loss. They were undefeated in non-conference games, meaning they beat all the teams in the AFC South, including the Jaguars, but the only reason why is because of that stupid kick return for touchdown bull crap. It has been 13 seasons since their last playoff game. So that's another big one, even more than the Titans and the Jaguars, who were a big mount. Todd Gurley was a beast. No one knows how to stop him as of now. And they're the NFC's surprise Mr. Falcon team, because they went from having like the worst offense in the league to one of the best, if not the best, offense in the league. So that's pretty crazy, you think. So yeah, and 13 seasons without playoff, and they won their division. And they, at one point, were like the best team, the second best team in the entirety of the NFC. So I think, yeah, they deserve the surprise Mr. Falcon award. The Seahawks 9-7 barely missed the playoffs. And they are the NFC's injured team. They had 3 season-ending injuries on their defense, their starting defense, and they had a bunch of other injuries during the season. They had no running game at all besides Russell Wilson, but they had no running back who could actually accomplish anything well and good for the team. Which gives us our NFC most valuable player, Russell Wilson. Now, this is not the best player. This is the player that if it was not on this team, they would have 4 wins. MVP, most valuable player. The legitimately most valuable player. Definitely Russell Wilson. Now, if he made the playoffs, probably would have actually gotten the actual legit NFL MVP. But they did not be able to do that. So too many bad things happening on the team. So sorry, bub, but you should have, became Jesus or something. The Cardinals, 8-8. They received AP from the Saints. That was an interesting trade. And then AP went out and destroyed the world the next game. Then kind of quieted down a little bit. And then got injured. Carson Palmer and Strustan also both got injured. And then they had to, put Blaine Gabbert in. And, they picked up the best quarterback in the league. I'm not even going to tell you who it is. You already know who it is. Matt Barkley. Duh. I told you. I couldn't resist. He's just so good. What a beast. Sadly, did not put him in the game, though. But Fitz went up on the leaderboard of, career receiving and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, that was the Cardinals. They were an interesting team. They were almost even in everything. They were the most average team in the NFL. The 49ers went 6-10. They won 1 division game against the Rams. They won their last 5 games with Jimmy G as the quarterback, obviously. And in the 6 games that he played, they did really well. Granted, he only played 1 drive in the first game he was in, but he scored a touchdown, and then he went on to win the next 5. So I'm looking forward to their season next year. See if Jimmy can keep his streak of never losing a game that he starts. That's pretty darn good. They went from 1-10 to 6-10 because of those last 5 games. So yeah, that's pretty cool stuff. Now on to the league leaders. Passing yards, Matthew Stafford. Still didn't earn that paycheck. Runner-up, Drew Brees. Rushing yards, Todd Gurley. Runner-up, Mark Ingram. Receiving yards, Julio Jones. Runner-up, Adam Thielen. Interceptions, Darius Slay. Runner-up, Antoine Bethia. Marshawn Lattimore. And Harrison Smith. Sacks, Chandler Jones. And runner-up, DeMarcus Lawrence. Now, if you want to see the other videos, such as the one on the AFC, it's going to be right around here. And the predictions for the wildcard playoffs are going to be right around here. Somewhere around the microphone thingy. So yeah, go check those out. They're pretty dope. Because they're always pretty dope. And, have fun with life, man. Adios.